Today represents, I guess, like my second day really, of the preparation of getting the motor in the car. So my first fabrication was that bracket there for the oil catch can for the turbos, and also the exhaust of the oil when it goes in it. So I had to create that lip and everything, make it all nice and neat and centered. And when you're doing a project like this, my nerves are always high, because just because you spend a whole lot of money on something, looks good, there's always going to be peaks and valleys. So with this motor, I had to figure out why too. It was like such a special thing, but that is the oil pump that is connected to that center, right? So that pump normally comes this wide, and it had to be extended for a third to suck oil out of the oil pan and then to the turbos and everything like that, right? So because it had to be extended, it has now blocked the hole. You can see back there a little hole. Well, it doesn't have clearance right there for a hole. What is that, the hole I actually gotta get to? Oh no, so it's getting to this hole. Once this brace is moved, it's just sitting on this little shiv or whatever, but it's getting to that hole. The motor mount I've been having to grind away just to accommodate the motor itself. So I've eaten away quite a bit of aluminum just so that way it seats in there like this, right? Because it's butt up right against it, and I've had to dig a hole in the aluminum to fit around the butt of that. And man, I was working on it all night last night, because you don't want to take off too much material, and then you affect the capability of the overall motor mount. And then I realized I had to shave this a little bit too for the little lip that's on the block. So these are the nuances that you typically don't see in video or don't know about or whatever. But it's not just to buy something, drop in. Yes, we fabricated the headers so that way they hold the turbos perfect, and the intercoolers and all that stuff, which is all up here. But it's the small nuances that you got to figure out. Even doing, hold on a sec, even doing the bracket, I got my brake lines that ran right there originally, and also the black line that's coming out of the black cable, that's the emergency brake. So the bracket has to be high enough to accommodate that so it doesn't move it. And then obviously I don't want that heating up, so I put some heat shielding material too underneath it, so that way it protects my emergency brake cable, because obviously that's going to be really, really hot oil going in that can. And so that way it sits away from the car, and so you don't have that heat going into the firewall. So these are the things you got to think about when you are putting stuff in, because it's like planting seeds of safety and cleanliness and all kinds of stuff that you got to think about when you're doing a motor build. But in any case, that's what I got to do. Also have my 140 thermostat coming today, so that way I can put that in and make sure it's all nice and cold. What else we got to do today? I think that's about it. Just getting the motor in, I'm already seeing I'm gonna try to see my fitment going sideways, but I'm going to take the turbo off. But taking the turbo off has me taking the wastegates off, so that way the blow off valves, wastegate, so wastegate, blow off valve. Taking the wastegates off and moving these lines so that way I can even get them in that spot. And then I got to do that without bending those lines. If you bend those lines, put a crack in it, then you got a problem. So it's and those lines go all the way around the motor, and it's some work. So in any case, that's the job. Now I got to take it all apart, put it back together right? Make sure nothing's leaking, things of that nature. But the big thing is the engine mount. And so that's what we're going to try to get done today.